It's the 12th of March 2017. Welcome to episode 29 of RapBabble, the weekly hip-hop podcast, with the episode entitled Nicki Strikes Back. If you want to be a host with me, send me an email at rapbabble@gmail.com. And this week, stuff happened. So first, let's get into underground rap news. So Cyhi Tha Prince releases a video called New Africa, spelled N-U. He's on the record label Good Music, which is Kanye West's label. He's a good lyricist. Like, he's all about the lyrics. See, he's one of those rappers who's underground, who definitely deserves to be better and higher profile than he is. So he's one to pay attention to. He has a song his song features Ernest Johnson. It's coming off his debut album, No Dope on Sundays, and he's been around for a while. He should have had a debut album a long time ago. But he's been doing mixtapes, so it's not as important as it was before. It's just a shame he wasn't put center stage, because he's a very good lyricist. So that's coming in the summer. The song is very Afrocentric, and he mentions the name of several African countries and cities. It's an empowering song about uniting black people together and what a powerful force we could be. He even says interesting things like, Obama could be the president of this new Africa because he's half Kenyan, so that matches. So yeah, it's an interesting, empowering song. It's a positive song. It's such a contrast from a lot of the stuff that's on the charts. He's a lyrical guy. I like the video as well, so I would encourage you to give it a listen. And I hope Cyhi Tha Prince, I hope him luck in the future, because he's featured on a couple of Kanye songs, which is the only time I've known him. But he's done a good job when he's done those songs. He's done a good job, so I want to see more of him. I want to hear more of him. And I'm glad they're giving him an album. He's been on there for ages, and they haven't. So moving on to the next story. It's a quick one, but Drake announces a release date for More Life, his upcoming, I'm going to call it a mixtape, because that's kind of what it is. He's calling it a playlist, but let's just say it's a mixtape. It's coming the 18th of March. His original date came and left. I was eagerly waiting for it. It didn't come. I checked many times. Nothing. Now 18th of March. This is the third time he's given a date. I think he's going to stick to it this time. This is a much more official than just kind of throwing a date out there. Anyway, that's a non-story. That will be coming next week, so I'm looking forward to that. I'll be mentioning it as well when it comes and telling you how happy/disappointed I am. I was disappointed with views, so we'll see what happens with this one. But this isn't an album. This is a mixtape. He might have more freedom, and he doesn't have to worry about making hits. And I'm optimistic. The third one is, so Nicki Minaj responds to Remy Ma. So Remy Ma sent a pretty harsh diss, not even just one song, but two songs against Nicki Minaj after they both released some subliminal raps. I don't really want to go and analyze all the subliminals because it just frustrates me when people don't say names. So I don't want to look into who said what, who started it, whatever. But they both kind of sent things back and forth. And then at some point, Remy Ma said, right, let me go and make it official, put a name down. And so she did 2 weeks ago. And it was a harsh diss. It was like a long... I discussed it last week, so check if you want the full breakdown. Check last week. But yeah, it was one long verse, which was, it was really ridiculously long, and it went really deep. She even went into family issues, which I don't really want to go into, but yeah. She really went as deep as she could, which is a bit much because they don't really know each other. And really no one should go as far as families. I think families should be left out of it. So in response, and Nicki was getting slated by a lot of people because 2 weeks had passed and she hadn't put anything out. Maybe 1 week had passed. And you have to kind of put it out in the first couple of days. Otherwise, I don't know, I thought it wasn't coming, and I was starting to lose respect for her. And I was just thinking, she's a pop star now, she doesn't care about rap credibility. And there's such a parallel to Drake, who started at the same label, and they could have gone in the same direction, and he has put so much effort into being a rapper and putting out mixtapes, and she didn't put out mixtapes. She's only put out albums so far, but he put out mixtapes alongside his albums, and he's featured rappers, underground rappers as well, or rappers who are ready to blow. And so he's really dedicated himself to the culture. But Nicki Minaj went pop and only put in like a small effort, features here, features there. And she made some like awful pop music as well, like really bad, sort of the worst kind, the low quality, terrible lyrics. I just, like, when she made Starships, I just lost a lot of respect for her. That was a turning point for me, Starships. And so I was ready to write her off completely when she didn't respond to this diss, because this is part of being a rapper. It's a competitive sport, and I want to see disses go back and forth. If someone disses you, you have to respond. If they say your name, you really need to do something. If you just ignore it, if you're way above the other rapper, then that's fine. If they've only sent you subliminals, then that's fine. But Nicki had a bit of a credibility problem, especially for me. She was losing rap credibility quite quickly. She was spending too much time being pop star and making terrible songs. Then when she came back with a diss, I gained respect for her. Rap cred restored. I'm really happy to hear that she came back with something. She's not a weak or a scared person, so I knew she had it in her to come back hard. I just thought maybe she didn't care anymore, but clearly she does. And so, but I can see why it took her time now. It took her time because she released it on Apple Music. So just like Drake, she has a deal with Apple Music, put out music exclusive, not exclusively maybe. I think it's on Spotify as well. But I think she's being commercial with this. This isn't just a sort of a mixtape song that she's putting out. This is kind of what Drake did as well. You know, I'll get into that. So I'm getting ahead of myself, but she put out 3 songs on the streaming platforms: Regret in Your Tears, Changed It, and No Frauds. So the plan was, she wants to put out 3 songs, and one of them is the diss track, and that will help get attention for the other 2 songs. Drake kind of did something like this. He put out an EP of like 3 songs with More Life and with Views from the 6. What was it called? It had a 6 in the title. It was the one with this really stupidly long title. If you're reading this, it's too late. I think he put out 3 songs initially, which is a smart idea actually. Put out a couple of songs and then put the rest of the mixtape out later. So you give us a taste, and you're still keeping in, like, this is one thing that Drake does well, is he keeps putting out music all the time. He's very consistent. So in between the mixtape and the album, which isn't a long time, he puts out 3 songs beforehand. And so Nicki Minaj has copied this exactly. She's put out 3 songs all together, and there's one main song here with the diss track, and it's called No Frauds, and it features Drake and Lil Wayne. So they've all reunited because Nicki's relationship with Meek Mill has ended. And Meek Mill was beefing with Drake, so that was a conflict. So she decided to put her relationship first and stay away from Young Money, which was a wise decision. I don't blame her for that. And then when I saw the picture of them back together, I was happy that the team is reunited. Not that I particularly like their music, but I like it when teams get back together. I think I just want people to be in a better position. I don't want everyone fighting. In some ways, I'm glad that we're in this no fighting era of hip hop. Although if people start getting dissed and don't respond, I'm not happy with that. So there's a balance to be struck. But I like it when teams reunite. I guess it's different when if battling with strangers and dissing people you don't know is different to battling people who are friends and family. So I never want groups to beef with each other. If you've come up together, if you knew each other when you were broke, then you have a different relationship to if you knew each other when you're rich. So in that sense, she's back with the team that she joined when she was not wealthy and not well known. And I'm glad to see it. So, and by the way, Genius.com has a really good breakdown on Nicki Minaj's response. So I would suggest you go and check that out. Okay, so both rappers, Remy Ma and Nicki Minaj, have both claimed that each other uses ghostwriters, and that people were implying that Papoose, Remy Ma's husband, was her ghostwriter, and Safari, the boyfriend of Nicki Minaj, was her ghostwriter. So both women have been accused of using ghostwriters. And then there are a couple of lines in the song which are worth mentioning. So Remy Ma mentioned that Nicki Minaj is signed to many people. There's about 3 labels involved in her record deal, which is Republic is the big label, the distributor, Cash Money is there as well, who has a deal with Republic, and then Young Money as well. She signed to 3 people, but also Cash Money is made of 2 founders, so that's 4 people. So there's 4 people who have to get some money before she gets hers. So that was an insult sent her way, which I don't know. Wouldn't worry about that. I don't know why people are picking on that. And then there was so she said she was trying to say Remy Ma was trying to imply that you won't get a lot of money from what you do, and you signed a 360 deal, which means that the record company gets paid for your albums and your tours. Before they used to be separate. And she said, Nicki says, I never signed a 360. Are you dumb? That's why Jay didn't clear his verse for your album, which is the Jay-Z feature on All the Way Up, which didn't make it onto the album, Fat Joe and Remy Ma's album. Although that might have been because he did a remix after. Oh, no. The song came out, then the remix came out, then the album came out way later. So they could have put the remix on the album with Jay-Z, which would have been the smartest thing to do, but he must have said no, which is disappointing. But it's a good song even without him, so that's not a big deal. But it's interesting, the industry politics. I'm really interested in the industry politics and the movements that people make and stuff like that. So she says, so what type of person shoots a friend over a rack, which is money? No, wait, over... I think that's supposed to be money, because then she says later on a stack, which is also money. I'm a bit confused. But she's saying you shot a friend over money. What type of mother leaves her son, again, over money? So Remy Ma had a situation in the past where she shot a friend in the stomach because she suspected that the friend stole money from her, which was about $3,000. And she went to jail, and she, that's where she's been for the last... She did a couple of years in prison for that, quite a few years. Her husband stuck by her the whole time, so when she came out, she was still married, which is... I don't know if she went in married. She might have gone in single, but nevertheless, it was a serious amount of time that she went to prison, and she was separated from her son. And so this is the family line that she brings up. Like, she's now really sticking the dagger in deep, saying that you left your son over money, which is twisting the facts. But I think she deserves going that far, going that deep, because Remy Ma had a similar diss about a family member. So all's fair. If you're going to do that, all's fair. So, and then there was another line which was quite entertaining. So there's a woman called Ra, who's a friend of Remy Ma's. Ra took you to her dock, but you don't look like Ra. Left the operating table, still look like nah. I love that line. And going back to the previous line, what type of mother leaves her one son over a stack? At that point, the music cuts out. This is exactly what happened in Back to Back, when the line with "Is this a world tour or your girls tour?" The music didn't cut out completely, but it quietened down a lot because he wanted to amplify that line, and that's the line that people chant out when the song is played. She took exactly the same play from the Drizzy book of disses, and she even says in the song, like, we don't make diss tracks, we make hits. And that's what Drake did. He made a hit song, he made a diss song a hit song. And they've done exactly the same. This is actually, it's got a verse in it, but it feels like a pop song, which is kind of soft for a diss. But it will achieve the goal of having it played in clubs and having everyone singing in unison against Remy Ma. I prefer my disses to be cold and hard rather than tracks you can dance to, so I would prefer that. I'm more of a hip-hop purist, but if she's thinking about popularity and money, this is a way to go. And I won't hate her for that, because she's doing enough rap-like moves, like putting out a diss in the first place. So she's alright with me for doing this. You can, you have to compromise sometimes. She wants popularity and wealth and fame and rap credibility, and I think she's ticked both of those boxes. And she has Drake and Lil Wayne on the song too. They do a verse each, and that's a show of solidarity. They don't actually rap against Remy Ma, which I wouldn't advise, but I do like to see teams sticking together. So I'm glad that they've done that. They didn't really sound that great. I mean, I really wanted them to go in and go hard and be rapping, but they kind of do the melodic sort of singy parts in their verses, and they're a bit short. So a little bit disappointing. They weren't bad, but it's not what I wanted. But listening to Lil Wayne was interesting because I can hear some auto-tune in his voice, and it's not ridiculous amounts like T-Pain. It's just a little bit so that when he sings, it doesn't hurt your ears. So I'm okay with that level of auto-tune. And then at one point he starts mumbling, very much like Future. Like, I'm really into Future, and I got his last 3 albums, 2 of which came out within the same 2 weeks. And so I'm really into... I mean, I don't listen to the lyrics because there's nothing to listen to, but I do wonder if he's influenced by that. But that was only 2 lines, and then he went back to his more clear style of rapping, and it just made me appreciate Lil Wayne more, because I didn't appreciate him before, because his raps were kind of random. You know, no 2 lines really, no 4 lines are connected to any other 4 lines. It's just, they're like punchlines. You get 2 together, and then the other 2 about something different. So I never really had much Lil Wayne music. But then in contrast to the trap music that's out, and the mumbling, and the just total lack of talent, lyrical talent, Lil Wayne looks really good. He seems really talented, and I saw it before, but I appreciate it more now that I'm getting so deep into Future's 2 albums that I can really feel it and hear it. So I'd love to see his raps over Future's beats. Keep his choruses in, because he's a master of choruses and melodies and stuff like that. But he doesn't really have the lyrics, but Lil Wayne can provide those. See, this is where I think you need someone to just take the best from what everyone's doing, because no one's doing everything right. It's only Drake who's doing everything right. He's got the lyrics and the beats and the choruses, but everyone else is strong in one and weak in the other. They don't really recognize it. This is why Nas needs to give up control of choosing beats. And Rick Ross is someone who can choose beats really well. I love what he picks. And people like DJ Khaled can do it because he doesn't actually contribute materially to the song, just in the management. But then that's brilliant, because he can just say, well, yeah, Future, you do the chorus, and Jay-Z, you do the verses, and we got the keys. And they put out that song, and it worked. So that's everything I have for you this week. It's been an entertaining week, and next week I'll be back. We don't have any other people, but I would like more people, so if you're interested in discussing rap at length, send me an email, and I'd love to get more hosts on. And this week I was a bit more organised. I have an actual script in front of me, whereas I didn't before, so it was dragging a bit before. It wasn't very good. But this time I have a full script, and you can probably hear it was a lot smoother this time. So I'll see you next time.